At NASA, every detail must be perfect before takeoff, even down every smell. Q Chief Sniffer George Aldrich's job is to take a whiff of every object about to be sent to space, including books, gear, fabric, toothpaste, and pens. Aldrich, whose formal title is chemical specialist and who has been on the job for over 30 years, works at the White Sands Test Facility's Molecular Desorption and Analysis Laboratory in New Mexico. He is in charge of toxicity and odor testing. "I use my sense of smell to help protect the astronauts from obnoxious odors in outer space," Aldrich explained in a Science Channel documentary about his unusual job in 2014. The task has much larger implications than just ensuring astronauts don't have to deal with unpleasant smells. By preventing distracting odors from being sent to space, Aldrich ensures that astronauts can smell dangerous situations like a chemical leak or something burning. On Earth, a foul or alarming odor, like smoke, can fade away thanks to air circulation, something astronauts' quarters lack in space. When we're in the space station or the shuttle, there is no additional air. "We don't open a window and get some fresh air in there," Susanna Harper, manager of NASA's Nasal Lab, told the Science Channel. "What we have to do here on the ground is verify that we're not sending new odors up there. Because once they're up there, they're stuck there. Even the smallest smell can linger for years in space. The odor can affect the astronauts' ability to complete tasks and make them sick. And only some people can get the job and keep it. Aldrich must pass a smelling test every 4 months to remain on the odor panel. If you have a lot of allergies, your nasal passages are already irritated and cannot be used," he explained in a NASA profile. The Human Library is an international movement that started in Copenhagen, Denmark, in 2000. It addresses people's prejudices by helping them talk to those they would not normally meet. The organization uses a library analogy of lending people rather than books. These people have experienced prejudice, social exclusion or stigma, and participants can ask them questions to learn about the other person and also challenge their own prejudices. The Human Library organization is active in over 80 countries, in which there are a few permanent human libraries, but most happen as events. The organization began in Copenhagen in 2000 when the first Human Library event was held at Roskilde Festival. The event was run by Ronnie, Danny Abergel, Asma Mona, and Christopher Eriksson, then working at the Danish youth NGO Stop Volden, which translates to Stop the Violence, inspired by the American Stop the Violence movement. The first event ran for 4 days with 8 hours of conversations each day, and more than 1,000 people participated. The next Human Library was hosted in Oslo, Norway, by Ronnie Abergel for the Nordic Minister Council's Youth Assembly, Ungi Norden. The event was prepared in partnership with Therese Mingai Foyn and went on to inspire the establishment of the Norwegian Human Library Program in 2003. The first permanent human library was established in Lismore, Australia, in 2006. As of 2019, the project has grown to partner in more than 70 countries. According to Professor Russell Keast, director of the Center for Advanced Sensory Science at Deakin University, it's called sensory-specific satiety, and it's the reason we always have room for sweets no matter how stuffed we feel post-dinner. Basically, this is what we experience when we eat one food to fullness. Our senses tell us we are no longer wanting to eat any more of that specific food. In other words, we are full, Keast said. Part of the response is actually sensory boredom. The food that excited us with the promise of flavor delights is now boring. We are getting satiated, but combining this with the fact that our flavor sensing system is overloaded with the food's flavor helps us stop eating. Then, when we present the taste buds with the prospect of a new flavor experience, we salivate once more. It may look and smell good, and from experience we know sweet is appealing, Keast explained. No more boredom with the food, and the anticipation creates appetite, hence the dessert stomach. If the same food was presented, the desire to consume more of the same is not present, he adds. Researchers from the Lovisenberg Diakonal Hospital in Norway back this theory, adding that the sugar in sweet food stimulates a reflex that actually expands the stomach. The result: we keep eating, and eating, and eating. If you eat dessert after you're actually feeling stuffed, you're tricking your normal sensation of being full, senior researcher Arnold Berstad explained in an issue of the Journal of the Norwegian Medical Association. A sweet dessert allows the stomach to make room for more food. A study into the palates and spicy food preferences of 2,000 Americans examined the correlation between taste buds and lifestyles and found heat on the plate can mean more heat in the bedroom. In fact, Those who listed their spice preference as hot have almost double the amount of sex than those who said they don't like any spice on their food, 5.3 times per month to 3.2 times per month frolicking under the sheets. The new survey, conducted by OnePoll on behalf of hot sauce brand El Yucateco, asked Americans a series of questions about their personality and then split the results by how spicy they prefer their food: none, mild, medium, and hot, and found it's not just in the bedroom that spicier palates are more active. Results showed spicy palates could arguably correlate to a sense of adventure, with those marking themselves as hot on the spice range more likely to say they love roller coasters, listen to loud music, and even drive fast down a winding road. In fact, hot and spicy food lovers were 45% more likely to have traveled out of the country and more likely to have gone skydiving, rafting, and scuba diving. Spicy food lovers are even 6 times more likely, 2% to 12%, to have gone bungee jumping than those who don't like any spice. Results showed people who enjoy their food to be hot were the most likely to rate their happiness level at a perfect 10 than any other spicy preference, which also goes with how happy they are in their current job. And those who liked spicier food also scored higher for being sociable and extroverted, with hot food enjoyers more likely to say they love meeting new people and rate themselves as good public speakers. Perhaps most interesting, though, is how on top of their life people who prefer hot spices tend to be when compared to those who don't. The hot spice lovers were very goal-oriented and 29% more likely to have a dream they're currently working towards. Health was another factor that came into play, with hot spice lovers twice as likely to rate themselves a 5 out of 5 on having healthy habits and exercising more on average. A spokesperson for El Yucateco said, "It's no surprise to us to see the results from this poll. Our interactions with our loyal fan base indicate that they are adventurous, outgoing, and live life to its fullest." A study conducted by the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom, in partnership with Western Australia Tourism, has found evidence to suggest that watching cute animals may reduce stress and anxiety. The study examined how watching images and videos of cute animals for 30 minutes affect blood pressure, heart rate, and anxiety. Dr. Andrea Utley, an associate professor at the University of Leeds, put together the 30-minute montage of the cute critters. There were some kittens, there were puppies, there were baby gorillas. There were quokkas. You know, the usual stuff you would expect, Utley told CNN. The quokka, an adorable creature found in Western Australia, is often referred to as the world's happiest animal. The sessions, conducted in December 2019, involved 19 subjects, 15 students, and 4 staff and were intentionally timed during winter exams, a time when stress is significantly high, particularly for medical students, according to Utley. In all cases, the study saw participants' blood pressure, heart rate, and anxiety decrease 30 minutes after watching the video. The study recorded that average blood pressure dropped from 136/88 to 115/71, which the study pointed out is within ideal blood pressure range. Average heart rates were lowered to 67.4 bpm, a reduction of 6.5%. Anxiety rates also went down by 35%, measured using the State Trait Anxiety Inventory, a self-assessment method often used in clinical settings to diagnose anxiety, according to the American Psychological Association. I was quite pleasantly surprised that during the session, every single measure for every single participant dropped. Some heart rate reduced, blood pressure reduced, Utley said. When they left, they filled the questionnaire in again and indicated that they were feeling less anxious. When questioning the participants, the study found that most preferred video clips over still images, particularly of animals interacting with humans. Utley hoped to conduct 8 sessions in total but was forced to postpone due to coronavirus restrictions. She acknowledges it'll likely not be until next year that more sessions can be conducted in person. Until then, she's exploring online options to keep the study going. Suppose you think the idea of a morning or evening person is nonsense. In that case, postgraduate student Martin Sale and his colleagues from the University of Adelaide have found that the time of day influences your brain's ability to learn, and the human brain learns more effectively in the evening. And by identifying at what point in the day the brain is best able to operate, rehabilitation therapy can be targeted when recovery is maximized. Our research has several future applications, Mr. Sale says. If the brains of stroke patients can be artificially stimulated to improve learning, they may be able to recover better and faster. The researchers used a magnetic coil over the head to stimulate nerve activity in the brain and linked it to an electrical stimulus of the hand. Mr. Sale, from the School of Molecular and Biomedical Science at the University of Adelaide, discovered that the brain's capacity to control hand movements is influenced by the time of day. His study found that larger changes are induced when the experiments are performed in the evening compared to mornings. Such time-of-day variations in function are not unusual. Organisms are adapted to the continual change in light and dark during 24 hours to avoid predators and to reproduce faster, he says. For example, the petals of many flowers only open during the day, while some organisms only reproduce at night. In humans, these rhythms are governed by various hormones that control many bodily functions. Martin Sale is one of 16 young scientists presenting their research to the public for the first time thanks to Fresh Science, a national program sponsored by the federal and Victorian governments which identifies new and interesting research being done by early career scientists around the country. Scientists discovered that dogs can smell stress in our breath and sweat. 4 dogs, pets volunteered by their owners, were trained to choose one of 3 scent canisters. And in more than 650 out of 700 trials, they successfully identified a sample of sweat or breath that had been taken from a stressed person. The researchers at Queen's University Belfast hope their study, published in the journal PLOS ONE, will help in the training of therapy dogs. Dogs experience their world through smell, and their highly sensitive scent detection abilities are already used to detect drugs, explosives, and illnesses, including certain cancers, diabetes, and even COVID. We had lots of evidence that dogs can pick up smells from humans that are associated with certain medical conditions or disease, but we don't have much evidence that they can smell differences in our psychological state, lead researcher Clara Wilson said. The 36 human volunteers reported their stress levels before and after completing a difficult maths problem. Each can contain a sample of their sweat or breath from before or as long as their blood pressure and heart rate had also increased after. And if the dogs, Trio, Fingal, Soot, and Winnie, stood still or sat in front of the stressed sample, they were rewarded with a favorite dog treat. Kangaroos, koalas, wombats and Tasmanian devils all share the 3 vagina structure. The side ones carry sperm to the 2 uteruses, and males marsupials often have 2-pronged penises, while the middle vagina sends the joey down to the outside world. Note that the ureters, which carry urine from the kidneys to the bladder, pass through the gaps between the 3 tubes. In placental mammals, like us, the ureters develop in a different way and don't go through the reproductive system. As we develop, the precursors to the reproductive tubes eventually fuse into a single vagina. In marsupials, this can't happen. The program also suggested that this might explain why marsupial embryos are born at such a premature stage of development. A kangaroo's joey is about the size of a jellybean when it leaves the vagina, and it must endure an arduous crawl into the pouch. It's possible that with such a narrow tube to go down, it couldn't get any bigger before its birth. With its complicated reproductive setup, a female kangaroo can be perpetually pregnant. While one joey is developing inside the pouch, another embryo is held in reserve in a uterus, waiting for its sibling to grow up and leave. Indeed, a mother kangaroo can nourish 3 separate youngsters at a time, an older joey that has left the pouch, a young one developing inside it, and an embryo still waiting to be born. The universe is nearly 14 billion years old, astronomers confirm. With looming discrepancies about the true age of the universe, scientists have taken a fresh look at the observable, expanding universe and have estimated that it is 13.77 billion years old, plus or minus 40 million years. In 2019, scientists studying the movement of galaxies concluded that the universe is hundreds of millions of years younger than previously estimated by the Planck collaboration, a group of scientists who have worked with the European Space Agency's Planck mission. Using data from the Planck Space Observatory, they found the universe to be approximately 13.8 billion years old. To settle the score, an international team of astronomers led by Cornell University used data from the National Science Foundation's Atacama Cosmology Telescope, ACT, in Chile and cosmic geometry, to end the debate, Cornell officials said in a statement. Their estimate of about 13.77 billion years roughly matches the estimate from the Planck collaboration. By determining the age of the universe, the researchers also were able to estimate how fast the universe is expanding. This figure is known as the Hubble constant. With ACT, they calculated a Hubble constant of 42 miles per second per megaparsec, or 67.6 kilometers per second per megaparsec. In other, simpler words, They found that an object 1 megaparsec, or about 3.26 million light-years, away from Earth would be moving away from Earth at 42 miles per second, 67.6 kilometers per second. The immune system protects the body from infection and cancer but causes disease when not properly regulated. The Japanese study set out to investigate the controversial question of whether age-related changes in the immune system could be responsible for the difference in average life expectancy between men and women. Professor Katsuhiko Hirakawa of the Tokyo Medical and Dental University and colleagues analyzed blood samples from 356 healthy men and women aged between 20 and 90. They measured levels of white blood cells and molecules called cytokines which interact with cells of the immune system to regulate the body's response to disease. In both sexes, the number of white blood cells per person declined with age as expected from previous studies. However, closer examination revealed differences between men and women in two key components of the immune system: T cells, which protect the body from infection, and B cells, which secrete antibodies. The rate of decline of most T cell and B cell lymphocytes was faster in men, while men also showed a more rapid age-related decline in two cytokines. Two specific types of immune system cells that attack invaders, CD4 T cells and natural killer cells, increased in number with age, with a higher rate of increase in women than in men. The researchers believe a person's immunological parameters could provide an indication of their true biological age. Professor said, "Our findings indicate that the slower rate of decline in these immunological parameters in women than that in men is consistent with the fact that women live longer than do men."